Hey everyone, welcome to Lanie Cooks. On today's episode, we are going to be showing you how to do bún bò Huế, Danang style, which is also known as the spicy beef noodle soup. Stay tuned. Okay, so everything that you're gonna need for this recipe is, as far as the meat goes, I have here some beef shank, we have some pork bones, beef bones, pig feet, and pork hop. This recipe is going to be really simple, and the reason why I'm doing this Danang style, this is the region we come from in Vietnam, and it's like the central region of Vietnam, and they keep it really simple. If you want to include the pig blood in this, you can. I'm not going to have it in this video, but that is something that you can add to the recipe. You will need some vermicelli noodles, boiled, and then the veggies that I have here are, we have mint, cilantro, green onions, we have lemongrass, we have perilla leaves, which is also known as thia tho, and then we have a white onion and some purple shallots here. And then as far as these vegetables goes, I'm going to chop it up, and this is going to be the garnish for our dish. You also need lime. This is going to go after the soup is done and ready to eat. I have here some Thai chili that we are going to mix with fish sauce if you want it seasoned even more. We have here red pepper, and we also have paprika. This is going to come into play for the color of the soup. If you have children eating, paprika is the way to go. If you want it nice and spicy, then use the red pepper. I also have chicken powder and salt. You will also need some oil, and this is going to come in for the seasoning that's going to be mixed with the lemongrass and the paprika, and that's what's going to give it that red beautiful color. I also have chopped up lemongrass already. This is going to be the part where I mix with the oil and the paprika, and we're going to add this to our soup, and this is how color is going to come in. The lemongrass sticks I have over here is going to basically sit in the soup, and that's going to give it the flavor. Also, this is another option that you can do if you guys don't want to do the paprika, oil, and lemongrass. They also sell this at the Asian store that you can add this to your soup. It is delicious and is a good seasoning, and I'm probably going to use 1 to 2 tablespoons of this just to give my soup a boost. So, first things first, I have 2 pots of boiling water going already. One is going to be for the actual soup itself, and the other one we are going to blanch our meat for about a good 15 minutes before we add it to the pot. And the reason for blanching it is because we want to get all the impurities out of this meat before throwing it into our clean pot. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put our bones into the pot of water. And again, this is the blanching part, and we can fit all of our meat in here. We don't want this to cook all the way through. We just want it to get rid of the impurities on these meat bones. Oh, there you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and add about 1 spoon of salt here into the blanching of the meat. And I'm going to go ahead and add about 2 spoons into our meat pot, into our soup pot over here. Okay, you guys, so I have been blanching this meat for 15 minutes already. As you can see, all the impurities have gone to the top of the pot here, and you can see some of it stuck on the meat still. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it over to our bowl here, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to wash this off. We're going to wash it off nice and clean, and then we're going to transfer this to our soup pot. So I'm going to bring this over, and we are going to rinse this under cold water. Make sure you guys rinse this really well. Make sure you pick it up, rinse all the impurities off of it. And then once this is nice and clean, we are going to add this to our pot, and then we're going to let this boil for a good hour, hour and a half. Alright, so right now we have our pot of water for the soup already at a boil. I'm going to go ahead and add our meat into the pot. And again, I already have about 2 spoons of salt in here. We're going to let this cook down for a good hour so that the bones and the meat gets nice and tender. And this is a pretty big pot, you guys. This is about a 10-quart cuisine art stock pot that I'm using right now for my soup. And for bún bò, you're gonna have to basically get you a big pot because you're gonna have lots of bones in here and it's gonna take up a lot of room, so be sure to use a big pot. Alright, so yeah, as you can see, all the meat sits nicely in here. I'm going to let this cook for a good hour on boiling, and then we are going to go ahead and do our garnishes while that is cooking, and then I'll show you guys how to get this nice and seasoned. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I have 4 stalks of lemongrass here that I have already broken up into pieces. And what you're going to want to do with these is make sure you wash these really well. And I got here my little tool that's going to bang all the smashed lemongrass. Give it a nice good smash, because we're going to add this to our pot, and what it's going to do is release that lemongrass flavor. One of the main things about this bún bò for sure is going to be the lemongrass, you guys, because I think this is what brings out the broth and the taste. And this is not something you add into any other soup. So bún bò is known for the lemongrass flavor. We're going to give that a nice smash so it can release all that flavor. Alright, so I'm going to put all this over here. You can smash a little parts up here if you want, but they're pretty thin. And then the more you have, the flavorful that your soup is. Alright, so we're going to put all that to the side. What I'm going to do next is we're going to go ahead and cut up our lime. This is going to be one of the garnishes for our soup. We just cut nice little wedges like this. I'm going to place it over here. When I eat bún bò way, I love my broth in my bowl to be nice and sour, so I usually add about 2 or 3 lime slices whenever I eat that. Alright, so this whole onion here, I'm going to stick it into the broth. What this onion is going to do is not only give it flavor, but it's also going to help clear the broth, is what I was told by one of my aunts, that at the end of your soup, you want to put this in here and help collect foam and keep your broth clear and give it real good flavor. So I'm just cutting little slits in here just to kind of help the onion release flavor too. You can also cut this in half and throw it in there, but I'm going to leave a whole onion. Alright, and then I also have here some purple shallots that I am going to cut in half, and then this is going to be thrown in the pot also. So as you can see, there are a lot of aromatics here. We're going to give our broth a nice good flavor. Alright, so since that is done, next thing you're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and chop up our garnishes here. I have our cilantro, and we're just going to give this a nice chop. And this is going to be our garnish for the end, you guys. Okay, when you are serving the soup, I remember when we went to Danang, one of my most favorite things to eat is bún bò. And it's kind of a funny story because one of my aunts, aunt number 4 on dad's side, she owns a little bún bò on the side of the street, and then every morning she starts prepping about 3-4 in the morning, and then, you know, she serves it till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then she's done. It's usually a breakfast and lunch thing, but this is one of my favorite things about going home to Vietnam to eat, that my aunt cooks this from scratch every day in the front of her house, in front of her little shop. And it's simple. The only garnish that they really do in Da Nang is pretty much they will scoop your soup into a bowl with vermicelli, and then they'll give you your meats, and then she just throws in cilantro and green onions, and then that's it. You can garnish it with onion, with whatever you like, squeeze some lime, add some fish sauce, but this is all they pretty much do in Danang here. So again, I just finally chopped this up, and then when we prep our soup, we're gonna go ahead and add this to the bowl. So we have that there. Guess I'm gonna have to get another bowl for that. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is chop up some green onions. This green onion is a vital part of our garnish. And again, like I said, you know, I'm going to be cooking, this recipe here is from my region, which is central part of Vietnam. They have what they also called bún bò Huế. And then I asked somebody one day what the difference between what we do and what they do. It just has a lot more vegetables and a lot more meat. And then they have that blood sausage that you can add also. But I don't have any of that today. And that's something you can get at the supermarket, and you just boil it till it's nice and cooked, chop it up, and then add it to your soup at the end. Alright, so we have our green onions here. Okay. And the reason why I'm keeping this separate, just in case if somebody doesn't like onions or cilantro, I can just add either or. Alright, so there's part of the white onions. We can keep this and add this to our soup also. In some parts of the region, I remember as a young kid, my mom would sit here and shred all this, and she'll add it to the soup bowl. Or we can just chop the ends off, and then we can just add this to our soup, and it'll give it a nice flavor too, because there's lots of flavor in the white part of the green onion. We have mint. And then I have the perilla leaves here that we're going to garnish with our bowls. No chopping is needed here. All you have to do is just pick it and add it to your bowl. I also have 2 chilies here that I'm going to chop up. I'm going to add to our little bowl. This is going to be the seasoning part. If you want it to be a little bit more salty and spicy, you can just add your chilies into a bowl, add a little bit of fish sauce, and then that's how you season your bowl if you need a little bit more saltiness or spiciness. And then we also have shrimp paste also that you can add. That's optional. That's not something my region adds, but as you know, nowadays you can just add anything to your soup to make it nice and tasty. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add our slab of beef shank into the pot. This you want to be nice and tender, so I'm going to go ahead and add it to the pot and let it simmer for an hour with our pork bones. And then when it's nice and cooked and soft, we're going to remove it and then chop it up. Alright you guys, as you're cooking this, foam is going to gather to the top of the pot, and I got this neat little mesh strainer here at the Asian store. They come in all sizes and shapes. So what you want to do is to keep your broth clear, you're going to want to skim this every now and then when you see foam at the top. So we're just going to skim it off with this strainer and then put it into a little side bowl here. So this is important to do, so make sure you skim that foam so your water can stay nice and clear. Here we got all our chili sliced. I'm going to move this to our little bowl here. Then we're going to add our fish sauce. Okay. My meat has been cooking for about a good 30 minutes or so. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the aromatics. I went ahead and tied our lemongrass with a little bit of twine here to keep it all together. If you guys are the kind that don't want it to keep it all together, you can just throw it all in the pot. So I'm going to throw in my onion, lemongrass, and then our purple shallots. And while that's in there, we're going to go ahead and add just 1 spoon of this chicken powder. Alright, so now we're going to let this boil for a whole another hour, hour and a half, just to get the meat nice and tender. Then I'm going to pull out the beef shank, and then we're going to chop that up and leave that to the side. And once this starts cooking real nice, we're gonna start adding the lemongrass and shallot mixture with the paprika and the oil, and then I'll show you guys how to get that done. And then we're gonna add that to our pot for the flavor and the color. And then once that's done, it's gonna sit here and simmer for a little bit, and then be ready to serve. So the next step to this process, I'm gonna make the satay, which is the color for the broth. I forgot to mention in my video at the beginning that you're also gonna need about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. This is gonna be the process to cook this, the coloring for our soup here. So what I'm gonna do is I just turned on the fire to heat up my skillet here, and we're gonna cook this separately, and then we're gonna add it to the pot. So I'm gonna add about, we're gonna say 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Okay, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Let that get a little nice and hot. And then we are going to add our, I have shallots at the bottom of this. So this is about 1 whole shallot chopped up. And then we have about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic here chopped up too. And then once the oil gets nice and hot, we're gonna go ahead and add our shallots to it. And basically what you wanna do is you want this nice and fried. This is what gives it the nice aroma. And then the color comes in later when we add the paprika. And also, as for color, this is where this comes in. I'm gonna add this to our satay also. And this is where you get the bung away in a jar. And if you guys don't want to do this step that I'm doing right now, you can actually use this. But I'm using this as a flavor enhancer just to give our broth a little bit of a kick. And I like the way this tastes, so you can use either one. Just use all of this alone, or do it the way I'm doing here, and not add this at all if you don't want to. Alright, once this gets nice and fried, as you can see here, we're going to cook the shallots and the garlic down just a bit, and then we're going to add our lemongrass. And this is the important part. I mean, right now our meat's cooking in the broth with the onions and the lemongrass, but the real flavor comes from this. This is what gives the bung away, or the bung ball, the flavor that you are needing. Okay, now that this is starting to fry up, I'm gonna go ahead and get our lemongrass here. Remember our lemongrass that I bought that's already chopped up? You can find this in the frozen aisle at the grocery store, at the Asian grocery store. It comes in handy. And I also use this when I make my gasao saok. And if you guys want the recipe to this, be sure to click on the link above to the right if you want the lemongrass chicken. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of this minced up, chopped up lemongrass here. Alright, we're going to give that a nice mix. Smells good already. There's nothing wrong with smelling lemongrass, shallots, and garlic. Smells so good. Okay. Alright. I'm also going to add about 1 tablespoon of sugar. We're going to add about 1 small spoon here. This is salt. Then we're going to add about 1 spoonful of this bombaway seasoning in a jar. It doesn't have to be exactly 1, but we're just going to add that much. And then if you guys skip this, the real red color comes from this paprika, or the ground red pepper that I talked about earlier today. So I'm going to do about 1 spoon of that too. Get that all nice and mixed up. Alright, here's the important part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of our broth into this, and we're going to let it come to a nice boil. This smells so good. Alright, I'm going to add about a spoonful here. 6 spoonfuls. And like I said, this is the real part where the seasonings come in. And as I'm cooking this right now, it already smells like boom away just in this little skillet alone. Okay. And then also, another important part is you're going to add fish sauce to this. Alright. So same spoon. This is 1 teaspoon I have right here. 1 tablespoon I have. I'm going to add about 2 full tablespoons to our mixture here. And again, this is how I cook and I eat it. If you guys don't feel like this is enough seasoning for you, add as you go. As you taste your broth, if it's not salty enough, add more fish sauce, more salt. If you guys like this a lot sweeter, add more sugar. If you think this is too seasoned, cut back on the salt and sugar and just taste it as you go. And then of course, once it's served, you guys have the fish sauce with the pepper that you can still season your food with. So, but bung bo is real simple. It does have a lot of steps and it comes with a lot of ingredients, but at the end, this is all worth it. Okay, so while this is boiling, I'm going to go ahead and pull out our aromatics here that has been cooking in the pot. I'm pulling out the shallots. We kept these in here. And you know, some people like to keep this in here. I don't, because as you can see, it's already like nice and cooked and mushy. And I don't want that floating everywhere into my soup. The onion is still not super soft yet, but I'm going to go ahead and pour this out for now. And then we're going to go ahead and scoop out our brisket, our beef shank. This has been simmering for over an hour, hour and a half now, so it should be nice and soft and tender. We're going to go ahead and pull this out. We're going to leave the lemongrass in here though. I have another beef shank right here. Alright, you guys. Okay. So now, as this is already nice and simmered, we're going to pour this into our pot nice and slowly. Okay. Alright, this is where this beautiful color for bung bo comes in. I'm going to scoop, oh, it smells so good. I'm going to scoop it in here. Be careful because this is hot. You don't want it to splash. Okay, there goes that nice beautiful red color for bung bo. And I'm going to swirl more liquid in here just to get the remaining seasoning out of this skillet. Alright. Okay. So now we got our nice color in our broth here. I'm going to let this simmer. And while this is simmering, we are going to go ahead and chop up our beef shank. So everything is finally complete. Our broth has been cooking for about a good hour and a half already, hour and a half. And then we're gonna go ahead and dress the bowl and get ready to eat. So in my bowl here, I have my vermicelli noodles, which is also known as bông. And then I'm gonna go ahead and we're going to add our beef shank into our bowl. Just a few slices there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and throw in our cilantro and our green onions. This is how my region in Danang does it. Real simple and easy. If you guys want to add other stuff like banana blossom, bean sprouts, perilla, mint, you can do that too. That can go in afterwards. So we're gonna come over here and we are going to look at this beautiful color. The broth has a nice red color. This is what you want. This is what distincts bung bo from pho. Pho doesn't have this red color here. So at the bottom of our pot here, I'm gonna scoop me a pork bone. And then we have like ham hocks and pig feet up in here also. I'm scoop a little bit of that. Let's see here. There it is. Well, there we go. Put that in your bowl. Alright, so now we're going to scoop the broth. Look how delicious this looks, you guys. Oh my gosh. If you don't want to overdo it with the coloring at the top of your soup pot, you can always do this just to move the color out of the way. And then just scoop you some broth. I like a lot of soup in mine, so I'm going to pour this to the top. Alright. Okay, look at that. Look how beautiful that looks. I'm going to bring it back over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze some lime into my bowl. Remember how I told you at the beginning? Growing up, I ate this. I just love so much lime that I like my broth super duper sour. So we're going to have our lime here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of fish sauce with some chilies in it. And then we also have some satay here that's already in a jar. I'm going to add this for spice. I don't need a lot of it. And this is optional. This is shrimp paste, which is this yummy, delicious brown sauce here that you'll see the restaurant serve this to you. This gives it a nice little salty flavor. If you like that, add a little bit in there. Alright. And if this is good for you, eat it just like that. But since I'm feeling a little bit fancy today, I'm going to go ahead and add me some mint into my bowl. Just tear it up like that. And we're going to tear a little bit of this perilla leaf here, just to make it yummy and delicious. I also have bean sprouts in my herb plate over here, but I'm not going to add bean sprouts because I'm pregnant, so I'm not going to eat sprouts. But here you go, guys. This is my bowl of the boom ball or boom ball way here, and let's give this a try. Let me grab a spoon. Oops. Let me put that part over. Okay. Alright, you guys. So here you have it. This is the boom ball way, Lanie Cooks style. Let's give this a try and let's see. Let's see. Ooh. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It reminds me of my aunt in Vietnam. Oh, the broth is perfect, you guys. Okay, so if you guys like this video, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, give us a thumbs up, and stay tuned for more videos like this. Thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.